What is my story? It's a long story because I'm almost 50, which means that have a lot of experiences in my life. Just to introduce myself in a nutshell, it's I'm actually an art director at Quantic. It's a video game studio in charge of developing what we call triple A games, which are high budget, high quality for a massive audience. Um, my story is really a graphic and artist story because a long time ago I was really involved in the beginning of the video games company in France. I used to work in a very small company which was called Delphine Software International. We developed a video game, which is really famous, called Flashback. And I was looking for how can I say, a trainee contract in their company. So I joined them. I began to do some testing for video games, but also because I was really doing some artistic things on a kind of hobby side. I was doing some airbrushing, paintings, sculpting, modeling things, and when I talked to them, they discovered that I was able to do all these things, and they say to me, "Oh, you need to know, Christophe, you can do it in 3D." So they start to train me and they involve me as a team member. So it was really an amazing period because it was what we can call the golden age of garage gaming. And I was really lucky to bump into those guys because it was really a good way to experience many things, to learn a lot. And can you imagine that they asked me to do some character just with 200 polygons, and the resolution of some texture map was really tiny. It was 256 by 256, which is a nonsense for us now because all the budgets have exploded regarding the technology and the technical constraints. So it was really a very amazing timing for me, learning a lot. After this first experience, I start to move to something which was much more related to CG experiences. So because I want to do some high-end 3D, so I start to do some movie titles with a couple of friends of mine. We start to have this kind of freelance studio. So we start to do visual effects, architecture, visualization, movie titles. It was really also a very high learning curve timing. It was really an amazing time. And because of what we call the explosion of the bubble, the internet bubble, the contract becomes more and more harder to find. So I joined Quantic Dream Studio in 2001 as a lead environment. So I was really in charge of doing the 3D sets, creating the 3D assets, managing a small team. And because at this time the studio was really, how can I say, tiny, it was also in a kind of learning curve. It was almost 40 to 50 people, which is quite small for a studio. I had the chance to, because I'm very curious, so I used to go to manage interface, to manage some art direction elements, and I start to learn a lot and to grow also as an art director. And I'm still in the company, so we release a lot of games, mainly games with high-end 3D, very realistic, in a very realistic style. It's really focused on narrative and very cinematographic story. So it's not the traditional video game as we can know. You are not shooting to aliens or to bad guys. We are much more creating a story that can be changed by the player. So all the actions, all the dialogues that the player are doing change the path of the story. And when I met David Cage in 2001, I was really amazed by his vision, because he brings on the table what we can call interactivity in a narrative story. And he was, I think, one of the first guys to do it. And this is why I'm still in the studio, because we are really creating new ways of telling stories, but also providing very fun gameplay to players. Quantic Dreams start, as I said previously, it was when I joined them, it was a small company of 40 to 50 people, and actually because the size of the project and also the required can I say members and team members are growing through the size of the project. Actually, we are almost 2050 or around 2050 in a production peak. Quantic Dream is a very very special studio because we are independent. We also are we used to be related to Sony on an exclusive developer on PS4, and but it changed 1 year ago because we moved to publishing. We are our own editors for the titles, and Quantic Dream is really, as I said, is really involved in the storytelling, creating narrative game with a high-end polishing quality, and also because the studio has grown a lot, we are actually mixing a lot of kind of skills, of specialization, because the video game is not just one programmer and one artist doing 3D and one doing the programs. There is many people doing the tools, in charge of the pipeline. You've got directors, you've got art directors, you've got 3D artists, visual effect artists, people in charge of the sound, motion capture team, because Quantic has a huge studio, one of the hugest studio in Europe. So it's really close to a movie production. We are really organized like a movie production by dedicated to video game. As an art director, I think that first of all you need to really deeply understand how can I say the plot of the story, what the story and what because all the stories are written mostly by David Cage, and he has a very precise way of handling stories. He has a very precise mental image of the story. So everything starts with a script. In this script, it's really a huge Bible with many dialogues, with many scene description, some image references, and everything starts by just reading the script. When I read the script, I start to digest it, in fact. And I think this is one of the most crucial part, to be in sync with some images extracted from the script, being able to digest it, to understand the emotion that we want to bring on the table, but at the same time being able to bring fresh air, new directions. So to be a kind of complementary vision to the director and the writer vision. The second point is that you need to have very talented people in the team, because they become a kind of relay, of your vision. So you can bring some art direction to people that are able also to understand what you want to achieve, and also it's also bringing energy to the teams, bringing them also freedom, because we are not talking about robots, we are talking about artists. So they at each level, everyone is bringing something into the final product, in the story, in the visual, in programming. So for an art director, I think that it's almost the three main things that you need to take care, in fact. Video games means a lot. A lot, why? First of all, because of my childhood. As I said, I'm 50, so I start as a teenager to play to video games, some arcade gaming in the cafe, having the first computer at home, with very, how can I say, abstract and very low definition gaming with many pixel art. And for me, at this time, a dragon could be completed by very small pixel, or maybe 50 pixels, just moving in a very, how can I say, unusual way, a very, how can I say, now we can say ugly way, but also the way that this low-tech vision of video game was helped me to think, to imagine with my mind. And when I look back to some old video games, I still have the same feeling that my mind made the journey to make it real, So first of all, yes, the video games are very crucial because it was fun, telling stories. It was really related also to the discovering of the role-playing games. So it's really related to my childhood. And when I moved to something which is much more professional, I think that it's a space of freedom for creativity. It's when you have a chance to be in a studio that allows this kind of process, of course. But I think that yes, it's a space of freedom. The hardware and the technology is always improving and getting better and better. The constraints are still there. It's like it's like a painter with his frame. It's really a space of freedom. And for me, video game it's an art. It's becoming an art. Like most of the art digital actual, how can I say, main domains. For example, I think that the motion design is becoming an art. It's really close to the modern art, So yes, for me, video games means a lot, and also because it's always a growing industry, a growing tech and tools. You need to learn a lot. So it's not boring, the boring job, You always need to think about what you can achieve in a better way. What are the improvement? How can you use some tools in some very unusual ways? Or it's really something which is always reborn, So as a professional, that's it. now I'm still playing a lot of video games, but I'm trying not to look at them like with my professional eye. I try to have some fun, and with the independent games, the video games is becoming a kind of art too. Maybe with low budget, low definitions, but with many creators with very clever ways of handling the gameplay and the interactivity. Yes, I play a lot. My own games, or I mean, Quantic Dream own games. First of all, because you need to, how can I say, you need to handle the feeling of the game you are making. So you need to test it, you need to review it, you need to improve it, you need to debug it sometimes. Sometimes you can see that some scenes or some graphics are not working, so you need to bring some alternate vision just to reach the goal that you want to bring to the player. So yes, I used to play a lot, but when the game is released, you've played your own game maybe 500 times. So usually I'm doing a pauses. You know, I'm releasing the game. I'm really happy with the player reaction. So the game becomes their own game. You know, it's not mine. It's releasing something to the audience. And usually I get back to the game maybe 2 years after the release. So it could be because I want to have a one step back, you know, vision of what has been achieved, or it could be also by can I say accident? Maybe I'm looking my kids playing this game, because usually they don't play it when it's released, because they always hear me to tell about the game. So I think that they are overflowed of game elements. But when I'm looking them playing the game, it's really how can I say, as a viewer, you know, you're not as a player, but you can look their reaction. You can look the reaction of what they are feeling in front of this game. So it's a different way of enjoying the game we are making. Starting art direction on a project is so, as I said, usually digesting the script and the story. The story is mostly not unwritten, not finally written when I start art direction. Usually we have some, how can I say, 5 to 10 main scenes. We know the plot, we know the synopsis. We have some good understanding of the character archetypes or what we want to bring on the table. So usually digesting the script, and after that it's really discussion with the director and the game director. It's creating some mood boards just to identify main elements, major scenes. It could be mood board for with picture, videos, any references related to what we want to achieve, and it's a free discussion just to have a kind of safe line, a common understanding of what we want to find and to build. Because we are making realistic game such as Detroit Become Human, we also used to do some scouting. For example, when I get the plot and the script for Detroit, so the game was not called Detroit. It was talking about a city in USA where they are building some androids, and these androids are supposed to make the human life better because they handle all the hard work. And we start to do some research about what US city could be, where the story could take place. And we identify Detroit. So because we find something which is really, how can I say, matching to the story, we move to Detroit, and we go to do some scouting for knowing the Detroit city, having a kind of feeling, having a kind of emotion in Detroit, and also scouting some very iconic location, because we don't want to do Detroit from a French perspective. We want to do something which is realistic and grounded for US people, even for people living in Detroit. And when we came back with photo references. We came back with also feeling. When you, as you are traveling, you have some feeling. You met people, you discuss with them, you understand that what is the vibe of the city. This is really mainly talking about the vibes of the city. And yes, it's really starting, with small elements, a kind of puzzle, and after that we move to the concept art process. So with the team, a huge talented team with lead concept and character concept artist and set concept artist, we start to illustrate the main characters, the main location, the lighting we want to have on the set, on the sets, because lighting is really a kind of paint, just to paint some emotion, and like a brush, you can light paint. So it's really crucial and everything comes more and more clear for everyone. And this is really the process. Usually it's really close to the making a movie, but I think that we have a huge advantage regarding the movie, because everything is in 3D. So if you want to destroy your location, if you want to create a massive buildings, something which doesn't exist, you're not related to your scouting, you're not related to the live action filming. You can do whatever you want. So I think it's really a good blend between movie industry and also having the freedom to change reality. What we have at Quantic, we have some. Usually, when we are making project, we used to do some shortcuts. So it's professional. It has been produced and created in-house, but we are doing some what we call shortcuts. It's a good way to have some visual treatment, maybe have some treatment of different topics, different theme than the main project. So, for example, with a shortcut called Cara, we start to talk about an android becoming human, and this shortcut is really related to what Detroit becomes as a video game. We also have some shortcut called the Dark Sorcerer. The Dark Sorcerer is a comedy, It's how can I say, a comedy of people making video games with a human and a goblin in a green screen set. So it's really making joke, which is totally different from what we are doing. So it's a kind of side project. It's really refreshing because it's still a huge amount of job and time, but it's really refreshing to do something different. And also what we can do is also improve the tech improve the process and the pipeline to achieve this shortcut. It's a hard topic because my job is really made with passion. So I'm really involved in the project. So what I'm trying to do is to have some split between what I'm doing at the studio and what I'm achieving at home. At home, I'm much more in having some free time for reading, not just always being in front of your screen. I used to do some surfing, so I go to some seaside and do some surf. I'm really fond of nature. I'm going out, and I think it's the balance is really that try to do something which is totally different from what you are doing usually at the studio, and because also take times, not don't try to do things in a rush. Always took time to become fresh at the studio and to have some gap between the studio and the home, so you can bring back new ideas. I think that the working at the studio is feeding my life at home, and the opposite is also right. At home, my life is feeding my job at the studio. So that's it. And I do agree that with the lockdown, because of the COVID, it was a little bit painful because you don't have this gap, because you are working at home and you are living at home. And usually your home is not really, how can I say, built to have some private desk for being able to work. So I think that this really bizarre period was really harsh because of that. It was much more harder to do, how can I say, the difference between job, the studio, and home. But usually it works. I used to do some surfing, so it's a weird surfing. It's kayaking surfing. So it's what we call kayak, what we call sit on top. It's with a paddle and you are surfing like the classic surf. So it's quite unusual in France, because it's mostly done in UK and in Australia. It's quite unusual in France, and it's really how can I say, an amazing experience, because you are alone. You are fighting waves, and you need to be concentrate just to the waves, because you still have some danger. The sea is dangerous. So it's really a kind of, how can I say, in French we say trance. It's this kind of different state where you are hyper concentrate at the same time, but feeling a lot of pleasure by being alone in the waves, and it's really a kind of brain wash, when you go to sea and it's really the relationship that you can have with waves and the sea. And also I have some friends that are doing some surfing with me, but it's really something that is really personal, and as I say, when you stop surfing, you are healthy, you feel better in your mind. Everything has been erased, and I think it's really a breathing, So it's as you said, it's really crucial for me to have this kind of how can I say, sport, hobby, or something like that, or passion too. I think that the favorite part of my job is working with people. because art directors are in charge of doing some art direction for visuals, but usually we are what we call what I call people from the shadow. We are not talking to during events and things. So I think that the crucial part is and what I do love is collaborate with talented, amazing people. It's really something which where the human is really crucial. The way we are struggling against some challenges just to solve some issues, to find the best way to bring something which is really high quality, original, refreshing, and it goes from many brainstorming, many sharing, many thinking, something sometimes we are failing, because failing is also part of searching, and finding. So yes, it's really people. I think that's it. People and also working with friends, because I'm at the studio since 20 years, almost 20 years, and yes, some of the team members are friends. So it's I think that's it. Human. It's meeting people, meeting artists, and collaboration. Never abandon what you want to achieve. Never. There is always a path to reach the goal, even if you have some huge constraints. I think that constraints are sometimes a good way to achieve things, because we all have some constraints everywhere in each domain. So the second advice would be try to feed yourself with many topics, many references as you can. Don't be just stuck in your own what we how can I say, a comfort zone, something which you feel that you are experienced. Always try to go to new topics, new domain. Be curious, in fact. And I think that at a certain point, all this feeling, all these influences, even if you don't remind some of them, comes back and sometimes, and are really useful for some issues that you have, some challenge you want to bring, some project you want to build. And I think that it's really never abandon things, never let them go. Always try to find your path. I've done some studies about economy. So I was supposed to be working in bank. So as you can see, I failed. And hopefully I failed. And I think that I used to work 1 year in a bank and assurance companies, and I was dying. It was so boring. It was not creative. It was something which is totally the opposite way of who am I. So yes, let's say that I was supposed to be a banker. I'm an art director, and I think that if I need to change, how can I say, to find a new role, a new job, or something which is totally different from art direction, it could be maybe doing some bakery or cooking or something like that, or wood sculpting, a carpenter, something. Can I say, a job where you can build something with your own hand, not something which is virtual, because this is what is a little bit frustrating with a video game. The video game still live until you have some console and PC able to read your game. If you have a look to a painter can paint, but the paintings are in the museum, and they sometimes are 2,000 years, 3,000 years, more and more. With video games, it's really something which is, how can I say, in French we say éphémère. It doesn't live a long time. So because many people are thinking about video games as a product, and this is not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we are doing some art which is totally different what has been already done. And yes, so just to get back to your question, I think that making something with your hand. I used to do some training about pottery, with clay, making some bowls and plates, and it's really an amazing how can I say, skill. Yes, so making something with my hand, and something which is not virtual. Oh yes. First of all, I'm a little bit ashamed not to assist to the previous events, because I know a little bit Cook, because I already see his portfolio, and I was looking to some motion designer. But I was not aware about motion plus design. And yesterday, by just talking with all the speakers, we have very rich discussion, and I think that what could be really interesting is to have some round table when a professional and motion designer, but maybe people using motion design in such unusual way, can discuss, share their experience, their process, what they are thinking about the future of the motion design. So I think that yes, having a kind of free talk and maybe a little bit more interaction with the audience could be really interesting for everyone.